sitting outside the framework for decision makers. And I know even at home, the Federal Treasury has about 40 people working on environmental issues, and increasingly they understand that there are real limits to growth, and if you don't factor in the ecological underpinnings of life and protect those ecological underpinnings, there's no economy. And that, I think, in some ways, the financial institutions are going to lead on that. So that's another potentially positive arena. This probably doesn't do a very good job of summarizing up everybody else's presentation, so I'm not pretending to do that here. In fact, I just plagiarised this from your original presentation, Brendan. But it does seem to me that there are opportunities in the international and national policy arena, whether it's on climate change, biodiversity, the valuing of ecosystem services, the new understandings around how we protect nature. There are certainly real opportunities there that we have to work out how to better seize and how to how to leverage better, I guess. And certainly we really can't ignore the imperative to protect primary forests for their biodiversity and climate change benefits. We have to start thinking, we have to move away in the climate change arena from thinking, and it's based on the fossil fuels thing. You think of fluxes when you're thinking of fossil fuel emissions and pulses of emissions, and an ecosystem's different, and really what you've got to do is have policy and accounting rules that protect intact carbon stocks and prioritise that. So there's a bit of a shift in thinking that's required to really get the maximum benefits from both a climate mitigation perspective and the related biodiversity conservation. I think the strongest lesson out of Edward's presentation to me was the importance of actually having traditional owners actually managing their country and supporting that, whether it's through biodiversity conservation initiatives or climate change initiatives. And even though plantations are a particularly nasty word in South America in particular, they really can actually take the pressure off our natural forests. And we need to, again, be directing our policies at the global level. And obviously there's a very strong role for consumers as well to make sure that those alternative sources of wood that are there are utilised. Australia, for example, has more wood than it knows what to do with. We have failed plantations. We've got plantation growers in receivership all over the country. And a highly subsidised native forest logging sector. The best thing we could do for the timber industry would be to entirely shut down the native forest logging sector in Australia. And that would actually boost, make it far more economically viable for the planted tree sector. Anyway, I'm ending there. I hope you're moderately cheered up. Thank you very much.
Thanks to the panelists, and what we'll do now, we'll take batteries of questions, in other words 3 or 4, and when you pose your question or your comment, just say who you are, and then at the end we will direct the questions to one of the panelists. So, do we have a microphone?
Yeah.
Okay, anyone for the take? And then 2.
Hello, my name is James Watson. I lead WCS's climate change program. WCS work across the world with tropical forests, so this is very important to us. We've got, I think, 13 RED projects, so we're trying to get primary forest protection going. So this motion is very important, and just want to make sure that you all know that WCS will be supporting it in any way we can. The second question I want to ask Brendan actually is the science behind local climate and weather and keeping forests intact, and I think that's a very important argument to make in countries like Africa and Papua New Guinea, where where farmers are really going to the edge of tropical forests now, and and showing, and we're seeing that where there is massive deforestation right next to tropical forests, you see changing local climates, and locals are actually seeing that, the changing rainfall in areas that don't have the forest. I know there's still a lot of uncertainty around that, but I noticed that in those 5 things you said why primary forests are important, I don't think you mentioned that. And is it because there's uncertainty there, or was there thoughts to bring that into the argument? Because I think local people really feel that, and it's a powerful argument.
Yeah, thanks James for bringing that up, and quite right, I think there is sufficient peer-reviewed published evidence in certain regions of the world